Hello, everybody. My name is Ian Kai, and I will be discussing Ethics Code A4B and my general thoughts on it. So, Ethics Code A4B states that counselors are aware of and are avoid imposing their own values, attitudes, and beliefs onto their clients. Counselors respect the diversity of clients, trainees, and research participants and seek training in areas in which they are at risk of imposing their values. In other words, counselors are not to share or impose their personal beliefs on their clients. This code was likely created to keep a professional relationship between the two parties and allow the client to open up and grow more and possibly to avoid judgment from the counselor. Now, for those of you who have had me in a class in the past, and Dr. Lemos, you and I have had, I think, 3 classes together now, so you know my stance on this. So, for those of you who know my stance, feel free to disregard this video. But for those of you who do not, here it is. I do not believe that a counselor should keep their personal beliefs to themselves, and I will be explaining why. The prompt asks which 2 beliefs, as a counselor, I would have the most difficulty separating or not enforcing on the client. I don't know that it would be 2 beliefs in particular. Every action I take is a reflection of my own beliefs, and I do believe that is the case with many people. I cannot say that there are 2 beliefs in particular. I will say my religion has tremendous impact on everything I do, as I suspect is the case with most religious people. So in that case, I suppose Catholicism could easily be imposed, not necessarily imposed, but it's certainly everything I do is dictated by Catholicism. So I suppose a client could feel that they may be being imposed. With that being said, I still don't believe that personal beliefs should be disregarded or even ignored. In the case of a counselor, I do not believe that a counselor should force their beliefs on a client. I know I would never do that. However, if a client asks me if I think they're doing something wrong, I will tell them. And I think if a client is doing something wrong, sometimes one is obligated to tell them. And I am fully aware this is a very controversial opinion. However, I do believe everyone agrees with it on some level. And allow me to explain that. There was research conducted by some researchers back in 2019, and I cannot recall the names off the top of my head, but their research was discussing ethical concerns in a counseling session. They asked the question, when can a counselor use their beliefs? And they used an example of a woman who has depression and believes everyone hates her. As a counselor, it'd be your responsibility to disagree with her and say that not everyone hates her. Now, I'm sure many of you will find that example unfair because the hatred that she believes is not based in reality. That's fair enough. So I will use a different example. And this is one I came up with on my own. So maybe it's bad, but we're going to go with it. Let's say that you have a client who has a serious drinking problem. And one evening they tell you that they will get intoxicated that evening. Now, as a counselor, is it your job to simply ignore what they're saying and just go ahead and do nothing? And I know almost every one of you would say that you should intervene. So in this case, what we are saying is that sometimes our personal beliefs do have to impact our counseling experience. And I know that's an extreme example, but I think extreme examples can sometimes prove a point. And I understand why this ethics code was created. I think in theory there's some good ideas behind it. However, the ethics code within itself is based on a personal belief that one should never share their personal beliefs in counseling. Now, obviously, and I believe I stated this earlier, is that one should not force their beliefs on the client, and nor would one be able to, as the client can leave whenever they desire. However, I do believe that the counselor cannot separate their beliefs from their actions. To do so would be disingenuous, and I think what would be worse than a counselor who has strong convictions is one who is disingenuous. So those are my thoughts. I hope it makes sense to you guys, and thanks for hearing me out.